Today is a quick video, but this simple realization helped me solve all of my problems from health, finances, and everything. And this simple solution was thanks in big result to Neville Goddard and the law of assumption. I started to want to understand what the law of assumption is. So what I started to understand that it's never about emotion. It was about acceptance, and acceptance of it being done. And how did that change me? And I'm going to explain it today. If you like Spirituality Simplified, you might want to like, share and subscribe. I also have a free Facebook group called The Healing Circle you may want to join. But guys, acceptance is simply this. I believe that often we sort of grandiose things too much. When I was financially struggling, I was in a place where money wasn't coming to me. It seemed to go out quicker than it would go in. £40 left in the bank, living in a different country, not knowing what to do, no job opportunities, no community that I knew how to reach out to. So I had to really go inside myself to find the solution. And I found the solution by saying, okay, I'm just frightened all the time. I'm scared all the time. And I was trying to assume the feeling of someone wealthy and someone successful and healthy and all of these things. But it was so hard to assume because it's like, I don't know what that feels like. Yes, I'd had success in the past, but I don't actually know what that feels like. So instead, what I understood was I assume that if I am this way, I wouldn't be frightened of it anymore. So I started to look at the way that I spent my money. I started to look at the way that I expected my body to work. I started to normalize the things. Sometimes we're told to make things feel so big and emotional. You know, like, oh my gosh, 10,000 a month. You know, it's so emotional. But after 6 months of having 10,000 a month, it's not a big deal anymore, is it? So I started to say, do you know what it is for me to do? I need to start to normalize this. So I started to say, how can I feel normal around wealth? So I needed to start to be comfortable and peaceful with spending money. So peaceful with spending money was the solution. So every time that I went to spend money, I would notice my emotions. I'd notice that fear. And there was so much of it. It was so interesting because I didn't even know that I was that fearful around these subjects because it had become so natural for me to be frightened. But I wanted to make it natural for me to spend with love. One of the things I had to come to terms with to reprogram my subconscious mind in this way is that God is the source of my supply. Not clients, not my actions, but God. So then when I started to say, divine peace fills my soul, I would observe these feelings. And before I paid, I would say, divine peace fills my soul. Divine love saturates my entire being. I lovingly spend this money, knowing it comes back to me multiplied in divine order and divine time. And then there started to become this sort of less resistance around spending, less resistance around life in general. Because I started to just notice and deal with the fears. As I became more peaceful, I actually started to connect deeper with God. I started to connect deeper with the divine. I started to understand that divine truth, that I am not alone in this world. You see, when we become too human, this is the next part, when it becomes too isolated and we start to say, that's because of me, this is happening because of me, I'm successful because of me, and we don't surrender it over to God, we start to then put a lot of pressure for it to be us to make everything happen. We have to make it all happen. But actually, I started to surrender that. So it would say, God is the source of my supply. So rather than it having to be me, it now became God that was within me, around me, and in everything. So now I'm connected to everything, and it brought a great sense of peace to me. So I started to spend freely and lovingly. But then I also started to claim I have wonderful, well-paying clients who get fantastic results work with me. Everyone wins. Anyone who comes to work with me wins. And that was the next step. Then gentle actions towards that goal, like sorting out a new website, moving to a new website host that can do better things, starting to invest in myself, starting to do that. And this was just wonderful. And I mean, honestly, the way that life just changed. So I started to live in the assumption or walk as a new person because, or firstly, I'd become balanced inside. I'd become at peace with money. I'd become at peace with circumstances, and circumstances were no longer making me fearful. So, for example, when Neville Goddard would say circumstances don't matter, if a big bill would come in, I remember just noticing the fear that come up, dealing with that first before taking any action. So it came to this true place of acceptance not only that I am where I want to be, but that God is on my side and creating for me and through me. Now, this became huge for me because now no problem seemed big. No problem seemed mighty. And we're taught this in the Bible, aren't we? Come to me, all those who are weary, for you shall know my name. Be still and know that I am God. So I started to say it's stillness, it's peace. That's how you come to the assumption. That's how you come to the acceptance of the fact. And I could start to get clarity of thought from that place too. I could start to keep my mind focused on an idea for long enough to see it through. Because no longer was I jumping from emotion to emotion, from I need to do this, to do that. I need to fix this, I need to fix that. So I started to find this balance in life that was just so effortless. And from there, life has really started to build up. And then people, places and things that I needed started to come into my life. So the bridge of incidences that needed to happen started to come into my life. And for me, that's so beautiful. And that's why I wanted to share this video with you guys. Knowing this solved all my problems. It solved all of my problems because I finally understood how to assume, how to do the law of assumption. And that is to be at peace and acceptance of something and to normalize it, to make it feel natural to you, not to make it feel grand and exciting. Because like I say, you sit in a Rolls Royce for 6 months, it's just a car. You live in, like I live in this beautiful house, now it's my house. I don't feel like it's so amazing every second of the day anymore. It's natural, I'm appreciative, gently grateful, but it's not a huge deal anymore. You see, so I think go to where you would be 6 months after you received it. That's when you're going to start to get into the energy of receivership. Because now you've already accepted it's yours. Now, you might not see it as a physical fact, and I didn't see it as a physical fact for some time. It took about 6 to 12 weeks for me to see it to materialize. But I would say the energy and the peace and the trust came from letting go of the fear, came from reprogramming my subconscious mind from a place of peace and ease and starting to put seeds in the mind that God is the source of my supply. All my needs are met now and forever. Once those seeds are laid, they become a truth for you. They become a fact. And what you believe will be expressed on the screen of space. So it really is about reprogramming the subconscious mind to normalize big things that you want to achieve, to normalize that you are successful, normalize that you are healthy, normalize you have a loving, harmonious relationship, normalize these things that we can sometimes make grand. Because if God be with me, who can be against me? God is the giver and the gift. So as I naturalize it, as I normalize it, it becomes the state, it becomes a fact. I hope this helped today.